How's it going, everybody? Noel over here on Verbal on Live, battling MS. Today, Fani Willis was supposed to be investigated by the board, and everything was planned out, but somehow, last minute, everything got canceled. In this video, we're going to take a look at why everything got canceled last minute. Crazy. Here, let's take a look. What happened?
Here in Atlanta.
It really is. Thank you for being with us. So, look, the first thing that I had planned on asking you about today is something that actually didn't happen, and that was a hearing for Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. We had planned, and it had been on, the schedule that she was going to basically. There were going to be two hearings for the Fulton County Board of Ethics to hear complaints against her and another individual, but we learned shortly before that was set to start at around 10 o'clock this morning that it had been removed. Sounds like you actually know something about what happened. What can you share?
Yeah, we were all kind of interested in this, and it's not the main case. So please, nobody think that this has anything to do with Judge McAfee. These were independent complaints made against Fani Willis as a Fulton County employee to what is basically the Fulton County Ethics Board. This is the board that governs whether Fulton County employees are in compliance with the ethical obligations of their employment or out of compliance. And if they're out of compliance, this board actually has fairly strong jurisdiction, punishment powers. It's got a lot of discretion. Problem today was that was the wrong spot. They were not, the complaints, while potentially legitimate, didn't actually fit within the jurisdiction of this particular county board. And that's not because Fani Willis isn't an employee of Fulton County. It's the fact that she's an elected constitutional officer. And elected constitutional officers aren't under the ethical jurisdiction of the county board. Their paycheck is, and the funding for their positions are. And if this county board wants to do something to apply a remedy to Miss Willis, they can mess with her funding. But the actual ethics ruling, that's not for this board. It's for the state ethics board, which is run by Mr. Amati and covers the entire state's ethical issues for constitutional officers.
Okay.
I'm so glad that you went ahead and just started to answer a question before I even got to ask you, because I'm getting a lot of questions. What does this have to do with what we saw over the last few weeks, regarding the disqualification hearings? And I mean, you made it crystal clear. This is a completely separate body, and it really, it's unrelated.
It's separate, but it is kind of in that related. Same, like it's on the table. Mm-hmm. It's just not the main dish. What we're really all looking at is this big criminal case being held by Judge Scott McAfee. That's going to be at the Fulton County Courthouse. DA Willis and her special prosecutor, Nathan Wade, have been accused of acting in a manner that is so unethical and so wrong that it requires their disqualification.
Yep.
And we should be getting a ruling on that from Judge McAfee pretty soon, within a week.
Yeah.
That time is ticking, and we've seen more submissions, even though evidence is closed. There have been a few submissions by the parties trying to argue and influence new facts, old facts, different positions on the law, trying to establish the standard for Judge McAfee to use. Now, separate from that case entirely, every employee who is a state or county employee is governed by certain boards. It's kind of like human resources. In Fulton County, we have an ethics board where anybody can make ethical complaints about the performance of the job duties of a Fulton County employee, of which Fani Willis is one of. However, since she is also a constitutional officer, that board doesn't have jurisdiction over her. Over her employees, yes. Over the people that she controls, absolutely. But for Fani Willis herself, due to having won an election that is a countywide state constitutional position, she can only have her ethics inquired upon or judged by the state ethics board run by Mr. Amati. It's the same ethics board that looks very often at the behavior of judges, other elected politicians. It's a pretty big deal, but it does not impact the criminal case directly.
And that's crazy, because yesterday the lawyer went on there and spilled the beans and just said everything that's wrong with this case and how much money Fani Willis and her boyfriend are making out of this. She made a lot of crazy allegations, but it's sad that this board cannot do anything. I wonder if the other board is going to call her in to make these allegations and make it public.
Okay, it's really interesting to note. And at the same time, there's this other, there were of course, there was the testimony from Ashley Merchant, one of the Trump co-defendants attorneys, and that, of course, was before a Senate committee. So another thing, somewhat related, but really doesn't impact what's happening with the disqualification hearing, right?
Absolutely. And that's yet another side dish on this overflowing table of justice. While we have the main plate, then we've got this ethics issue in Fulton County against Fani Willis. Meanwhile, we have a state Senate oversight committee that has been convened. There are some new committees and laws and regulations specifically targeting prosecutors statewide. And Ms. Merchant was called into this Senate committee to provide testimony about what's going on.
It's crazy that she tried to prosecute Donald Trump and everything is backfiring. Now she's in trouble. She's about to lose her lawyer license. She's about to get disqualified.
This is a fairly unique set of circumstances because it's uncommon for any lawyer involved in active litigation to make any comment, especially a public comment for an investigatory committee. So it was an odd circumstance to begin with. But I think we all saw the benefits of that setting for Ms. Merchant and the defendant that she represents, as well as the other co-defendants, because from a political optics perspective, this was the most unchallenged, straightforward, and easy to understand explanation of the position Ms. Merchant has taken on behalf of Mr. Roman and the other Trump defendants.
And Fani Willis, I'm sorry, but I think she looks so ghetto. The way she talks in church, the way that she testified, everything that she does just seems so ghetto. Talking about paying everything in cash, like a drug dealer or a prostitute. Who does that? She definitely needs to be investigated.
I thought it was a very illuminating hearing. I learned a tremendous amount about the argument and thought it was a great example of public politics at work. But again, that's not the criminal case. That is a Senate committee investigating what's going on for this particular matter as it looks at regulations for all district attorneys in the state of Georgia.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to ask you about another case that we're following involving the death of a student on the UGA campus. So the newest thing that I just want to share with our viewers is that today, the brother of that suspected killer, it was in court. So the brother, let's just be clear. Let me show you his picture. Diego Ibarra had a hearing today and is awaiting trial. Again, unrelated, Diego Ibarra is not accused in the killing, but Diego Ibarra is accused of essentially trying to use a fake green card. So what we've learned, we have apologize, just wanted to get to some brand new video that we got, but in the meantime, let's just look. This is him. This is who we're talking about. He's the brother of Jose Ibarra, who's a Venezuelan man accused of murdering Laken Riley on the UGA campus. And a federal judge deemed Diego Ibarra a flight risk, deemed that he could do harm to the community based on his history. So he was released back into U.S. Marshal custody and loaded into a prison van, being held in Butts County.
That's good. We got to put away all these illegal migrants that are committing crimes left and right.
And what we understand now is that part of the argument of prosecutors was that there's evidence that he had been involved in a prison gang back in his native country of Venezuela. So prosecutors showed apparently some photos of Ibarra's tattoos and social media posts where he was holding firearms, throwing.
All these illegal migrants committing crime. Unfortunately, it is helping Trump, and it's definitely going to help move people away from Biden, who's letting all these illegal immigrants in.
Gang signs, according to prosecutors, and they do argue that the gang signs, that these signs and these tattoos are affiliated with the Venezuelan prison gang. Defense argued they weren't, doesn't really prove anything. Either way, judge ruled in the government's favor. He was deemed to be a flight risk, stayed in custody and is awaiting his trial on that fraudulent green card case, Josh. So in your opinion, you were telling me off camera, you think that what's going to happen is that he will basically receive some sort of punishment or be held and then ultimately be deported.
Yeah, that's really what it looks like. What we're all seeing here is the full court press when a major crime has occurred. We know who the primary suspect is, and then during the investigation of that primary suspect, other individuals became known to the investigators, and that would include this brother. And when they intercepted him during the ID checks, during the establishment of some basic information, it was discovered that he was in possession, apparently, of a fraudulent green card.
So what do you guys think? Comment below. Are they doing the right thing by deporting these criminals? And do we need to deport more of these illegal migrants that are just breaking the law and don't really seem to care?
Not the most uncommon issue. There are lots of fraudulent documents out there. What's a little bit more rare is an aggressive prosecution of those documents. Oftentimes that doesn't rise to the level where the federal government feels it's appropriate to dedicate prosecution resources, since those resources are so limited. Because of Diego Ibarra's connection to his brother, he was picked up, incarcerated, and the federal government's going to bring its full weight on him because there's a benefit that they can get. Remember, this brother could turn state's evidence, provide an enormous amount of information about the alleged killer of Laken Riley. That's very valuable information.
I hope so. Okay? Seriously, we got to deport and get rid of illegal criminals that are just coming into and invading the United States.
Also, if it's a document case, a forged document case, it's not difficult for the government to effectively prove that case. Was there a document? Is it a real document or a fake one? And who possessed it? It's not complicated. So the government really had all the cards in their hand to hold him and lean on him. That's what they're doing. He was not appropriate for pretrial release because of his immigration status, as well as other activities, including associations with criminal street gangs, both locally or internationally. That's something else the judges are very, very interested in, because it indicates how easily someone could flee the jurisdiction or become non-compliant with the orders of the court. So it doesn't surprise me at all that he was remanded to custody. They're going to hold him for a while. They're going to lean on him. When it comes to the eventual disposition, it's not that serious a case, but it would result in the immigration, naturalization, ICE, whatever you want to call them.
It is a serious case, and that's how they need to treat it.
Executing some sort of removal if he's not allowed to remain in the country lawfully.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you provided this context, because that was my question. I mean, it seems that fraudulent green cards are pretty common, you know, for better or worse, that it's common that people do use them here in the state of Georgia. And you know, it seems that, like you said, there's some sort of ulterior motive, other reason for the state to really come after him. And you think it's because they're hoping he'll turn state's witness.
Yeah, there's definitely some valuable information that he can provide, even if it's just background and connections. Mm-hmm. This is a murder case of a very young, very personable.
That's crazy. A murder case. This is like the ultimate.
A dearly cared for member of the Georgia community.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is a political hot button. We've already seen politicians of all stripes run with the issue, trying to make points with the electorate. It's not going away anytime soon. Absolutely. The federal government bringing its full weight is justified.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and speaking of that, the Laken Riley Act, and by the way, here's some video, just some of the kind of rallies that have taken place surrounding the death of Laken Riley. And you see many people do feel that it's an immigration issue, and feel that really what needs to happen is that there's a crackdown on undocumented immigrants. And
the real question is, where in the immigration journey this nation has been facing, where does this point lie on that path? And is it the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back? Are we crossing the Rubicon? Where is this? And for a number of people, given the political season, this is the moment to grasp illegal immigration and the treatment of undocumented as a major political issue driving voters. Obviously, former President Trump has made border security a major platform, and President Biden has been paying a lot of attention to the crisis at the border, even both of these gentlemen visiting the border on the same day last week.
Trump 2024. We got to get behind Trump on this issue, because this is crazy.
So this is just an overflow of that concern about immigration as an overall political issue.
Yeah, and so right now, actually, lawmakers in Washington are voting on what has been named the Laken Riley Act. My colleague Brittany Ford has a closer look at this. Certainly, it is fueled by the death of 22-year-old Laken Riley.
Well, here in Georgia, there were efforts underway to rewrite a state bill that would punish so-called sanctuary cities and counties. Now, lawmakers in...
All right, I'm going to pause it right there. I had enough of this. At the end of the day, we got to get rid of illegal migration into the country, because the truth is, it's an invasion. So the politicians got to put a stop to this. It's up to them, because we can't do anything about it except for voice our opinion. And my opinion is that we are being invaded, and we need to put a stop to this, right? Remember, Trump 2024. My name is Noel, battling MS, and I'm going to end the video right now because feeling uncomfortable sitting down in this chair. All right. But please go to Verbal on Life on YouTube and subscribe. I'm up to 1,588. Just trying to build a platform where I could voice my opinion and just keep talking. That's one of the ways that I'm battling my MS. Just talking. With that said, peace. See you guys on the next stream. And don't forget to comment below if you have any questions or comments. And I'm out.